Live from New Jersey, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Madison, Wisconsin, this is The Lab. With your alchemists, Angel Guevara and Greg Posner. Tonight's special guest, Tim Gerritsen from Lost Boys Interactive, and Zachary Kosma from Kosmacon Games. Also starring Cassandra Liu and Rick Bauer. Tonight on The Lab, inside the game industry.
Welcome, everybody. This is our second broadcast of The Lab, and we are pumped to be back. It was fantastic. We heard a lot of you reaching out to us, our community. Thank you. We are fueled by you. You help make this possible. You keep this interactive. You keep this exciting. And we are all very excited to be here. I'm joined by my other alchemists tonight, Angel, Rick, and Cassandra, who you're going to hear from in a bit. Just a few things to note for episode 2 that's coming at you tonight. We are cranking up the wow factor. We've got polls, games. A huge shout out to the Alchemy Labs team. They're working behind the scenes nonstop, building stuff I didn't even know was possible to help bring you this live broadcast, which is super exciting. And the best part is if something goes wrong, we know who to blame. Not just kidding. We've got a really exciting show for you tonight. We have two really incredible guests that we're really excited to talk to. First, we're going to talk to Tim Gerritsen. He's the Chief Operating Officer at Lost Boys Interactive, and Zachary Kosma. He's the founder of Kosmacon Games. It's going to be a really fun episode, but before we do dive in today, let's catch up. Let's meet our amazing co-host, Angel Guevara. Angel, man, how are you doing tonight?
Dude, Greg, that was a beautiful introduction. Dude, I'm great. Very happy to be here. For our first episode, it was pretty good. You know, we made some mistakes, but it was pretty good. The second episode, though, in the sequel, we're cranking things up. They're going wild. So I'm doing great, man. I'm excited, and I hope everyone enjoys our second episode. How are you doing?
I'm with you, man. You know, we knew we were going to make mistakes, and you know, everyone makes mistakes that first time, but you grow, you learn, you adapt, and I think we made less mistakes than we thought, which is awesome. But I'm doing great, man. It's a windy Thursday or Wednesday. I don't even know what day of the week it is anymore here, but I am excited to be here, and I'm excited to be talking with everyone.
Let's get it, man. Let's get it. I'm excited. We have a lot of awesome content, a lot of awesome guests, games, polls. We have everything. So let's go. Let's get it.
Yeah, I think we're going to kick it off with the video from Augustin, who was at the Taipei Game Show.
Hello everyone, I am your fellow alchemist Agustin Chavarria, and here I am in Taipei Game Show reporting for The Lab, inside the game industry. Let's check it out. And here we are at the Indie House, where a lot of developers from Southeast Asia, United States, China, Japan, Uruguay, and a lot of from Europe who are showing off their games and a lot of demos. Check it out.
That's some awesome stuff. Thank you, Augustin. And he does some great stuff. Angel, I don't know if you follow him, but first of all, he's in chat right now. Feel free to say hi to him, Carbon Fiber. He has this, I think it's a synthesizer. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's this crazy looking thing that makes these freaking cool sounds, and waiting for him to give us a tutorial on how we can use something like that. Have you seen that?
Dude, honestly, yes, I've seen his stuff on LinkedIn, and I'm not an audio engineer. I don't know about these machines and what they do, but dude, they look super futuristic. All the noises they do, the sounds, the lights, and everything. It looks like he lives in like Night City from Cyberpunk. So
For
yeah,
sure.
and that video looks amazing, dude. I would love to have been there. It looks amazing.
Yeah, man. Thank you for sharing that with us, Augustin. Keep on doing that cool stuff, man. Send us some samples of stuff that you're creating in game, and we'll share it with the world here. Now, I was hoping we could jump into some news on Hell. Let's talk about what's kind of making waves, not just in gaming, but in tech as well.
Let's do it.
So, first thing I wanted to talk about is a topic that's really interesting to me is this whole deep thing or DeepSeek and how it's shaking up the AI world. Uh, DeepSeek put out their AI model earlier this week. Today, Alibaba threw their hat in the ring as well. And for those of you who aren't following the AI race, China isn't allowed to get the NVIDIA chips and the technology that we have that we're building here in the States. So we were always under the impression that China was behind in the AI race, but then DeepSeek came out and provided a model that was on par with OpenAI's most expensive $200 a month subscription model. And no one was really sure how it was done. They claimed it was built on some older NVIDIA chips that they were allowed to have. And now it's kind of going back and forth and understanding, did they copy the OpenAI model? Did they not copy the AI model? And is it now on par with us in China? And it's really crazy stuff. Are you following this at all, Angel? I don't know if it's even in the realm of things that you keep up with.
I am definitely. I am a software engineer as well, so AI is something that I use every day in my daily life. Yeah, I actually heard that I think they made DeepSeek with only 20% of their resources that OpenAI used, which is insane. It's a big W for China.
It's, and I heard it was also from a hedge fund, which is mind-boggling because you're always thinking the biggest tech companies. And if you're in the stock market, you'll see that a lot of the tech stocks took a big hit this week because of this news. And it's going to be really interesting to see where it goes because as AI is becoming more embedded in lives of what we're doing, it's going to be really interesting to see, is it actually possible to do this at a lower cost level than what we all thought it would be to begin with? And I think it's just going to be good things on the horizon for everyone. I mean, moving the technology forward is a positive in my mind.
Exactly. Make it and also making it more accessible, right? That's also a positive thing.
Speaking about some gaming stuff, I read today that The Sims 1 and 2 is officially being re-released this January, or it is January, at the end of January, the 31st. Angel, I would guess you're more of a Sims 3 player. You're a youngin'. You weren't there for those original days of The Sims. And I remember on my old computer getting a Monster 3D FX graphics card and playing The Sims was a mind-boggling experience. And I'm really excited to be able to just jump back in. It will have all the DLCs. Would you say you're a Sims player?
Well, I have played The Sims before a couple of times. I remember like back in like 2004, they had something called the Herbs, which was kind of like the urban Sims type of thing. It was like in the original Xbox. It was a blast, bro. Not really my thing, but what I'm excited about is the new Ninja Gaiden Black 2 remaster that came out. I just downloaded it in my computer, ready to play. Huge Ninja Gaiden fan. Do you like Ninja Gaiden, Greg?
No, I am terrible at them. They were always such hard games to play. But that Microsoft event that they held last week where they showed off Doom and they showed off Ninja Gaiden, I thought that was fantastic. It figures the year Xbox decides to go multi-platform is the year they have tons of hits ready to go.
Yeah, 100%. Xbox has been doing all right recently, but that presentation that they had, oof, it's gonna be a great year for Xbox. Let's see how it goes.
Continuing the Xbox talk, there was rumors today, or news came out today, that the studio People Can Fly out of Europe, they were working on a project called Project Maverick, and it turns out that that's Gears of War E-Day. I'm not sure if anyone in our audience here is a Gears of War fan, but it was the original Horde mode I remember, or one of the original ones, and the first few Gears of War were just awesome, great ways to showcase graphics because they are experts with the Unreal Engine. But I
Yes.
think, returning back to some of the roots with E-Day, where it has the original characters like Marcus, is going to be something that's really
Exactly.
exciting for players.
Yeah, I wonder how come they didn't continue Gears, like Gear 6, 7. I wonder why they went back to the origins.
They got to package up the original story now, remastered, and sell it all like they did with Halo, right? It's a business of 101. If you had something that works, make it last as long as it can.
I guess so. I mean, to be fair, we haven't seen a lot of E-Day, so to be fair.
Yeah. And any other games on your radar right now?
Dude, very good question. So Ninja Gaiden is something that I'm gonna be playing for sure. Backlog is kind of big, so I gotta prioritize those games. But things coming out next month, which we'll definitely have a poll coming up soon. I would say Monster Hunter Wilds. That's definitely on my radar.
Monster Hunter Wilds. It's another game I wish I got more involved in. I'm probably gonna try the new ones out as they come out. I've need to start scratching that single player games and kind of seeing what's out there for me to play.
Yeah. What about you, Greg? What are you looking forward to?
Well, the season 2 of Call of Duty dropped last night, which I know Rick is probably going to talk about if he's unbanned in time, which we can joke about when he comes on. And my brother-in-law has been talking about this Crab Champions game on Steam. It is a roguelike game that is, he says, super addicting. So the next game I'm going to be playing when I make some time after Manor Lords, if anyone from Manor Lords is listening, mostly Greg, because his name is too Greg, you're making an awesome game. But Crab Champions will probably be the next game I check out.
So you said it's a Souls-like game?
It's a roguelike.
Roguelike.
Roguelite.
Gotcha. Okay.
Sorry, roguelite.
Gotcha. So similar to like Hades, right?
Yes, exactly.
That's what you're saying.
Cool. Well, with that, I think we maybe want to move on to our first guest tonight.
Mhm.
You want to introduce?
Yeah, definitely. Let's go to our first guest. All right, Zachary Kosma. Zach, how's it going?
It's going wonderful, Angel. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. It's a pleasure to have you here at the lab. Zachary Kosma, founder at Kosmacon Games. Zach, you are a very interesting figure in gaming. I don't think I've ever met someone who had like he's fit in like two different worlds because you work in games, you develop games, but you're also a teacher. You're teaching the next generation of software developers. I just want to hear from you. Tell me how that experience has been like for you.
Well, I'll tell you, I guess I'm an explorer of planets. Games have been a huge part of my life for a long time. But even before that, I had a computer like at 4 years old, and that changed my life a lot. By 8 years old, I was asking my dad for books on programming. And that energy to kind of teach myself and be hungry to learn applied to games as well. I grew up playing games like Rome Total War, Warcraft, all these different games that are amazing standout games. Um, when I take a look at how uh, it all impacts what I'm doing now, I really take
Right.
a look at, hey, I've been especially lucky in my life to been able to learn these skills, to pick them up, be in a position where I can really focus on them and then apply that towards a career. Uh, working in contracting, working in hobbyist games, working in uh, media, all sorts of different aspects, you really get a lot of different flavors in the world. And I guess, I'm hopping around all these planets. Esports was another big thing that
Right.
was
That's
a
what I
big
heard.
significant part of my life where I was able to uh, really ingrain myself with some cool communities and push ourselves on how much can we succeed, how much can we win, and what's out there for us. And still to that day, that's kind of informed my mentality around the games I want to make, the impact I want to have on the world, and how I want to help people. I went through a lot of coaching in esports and working with my teammates and figuring out how do you get to a place where you can be undefeated, you can be at the top of the game, and getting there. You got to make some sacrifices, you got to go through a lot of hard learning, and so uh, I feel especially privileged that here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I was able to get a job where I can teach people the same passion and energy and potential I see in technology to them and let them kind of grow budding careers in technology. It's a completely self-taught,
Mhm.
self-led school. So in a lot of the ways, these students go through the same learning journey that I did, where you're having to figure out, how do I research this? How do I Google for the right question? When is not a AI a good tool to use? And it's absolutely been really fun. Um, so again, I like to say I'm really privileged to have the job that I do because I get to make people, really passionate about technology and start their career off in the best possible way that they can.
I love that. When it comes to like teaching your students, how do you find the balance between providing a structure for them, but also fostering a sense of independence, like being self-taught, looking for answers for themselves? How do you like balance that out?
It's all coaching. I mean, like I think it's rarely talked enough in the professional world, but the way you solve problems, the way you help people is ask questions, and
Hmm.
you get help, you ask for help, you engage in collaboration, and I think when I was starting my learning journey, I just had that book and I had my terminal and I had the things around me to go learn from. My dad was working all the time. He didn't exactly want to spend all his time at home with me on the computer programming. So it was really like, I had a small community. I would go ask my dad for help. I would go ask online, which, back in those days, there wasn't the most active community around Unity. You would post something, you might get a response 48 to 96 hours later, or never. Sometimes it would be weeks. And so, like, I didn't have a community to learn from. And I think that's what I try to instill most in these young budding professionals is that you are coming here for this school, really for the community that is around you, and to be empowered by these technologists who are at your same learning level and at their same place in their career as you are. And I think that is truly special because those connections that you form will be invaluable and they will help, bridge the gap and lead to opportunities that you might have otherwise been blind to. And so um, I tell them a lot, hey, ask for help, work with each other, get into a mode where the problems aren't problems anymore. They're opportunities to learn something with someone else.
Hmm. Perfect. How do you think these experiences influence the games that you make?
Oh, so intensely. I've wanted to make a lot of games in my life, and I have made a lot of hobbyist games. I've even made a lot more prototypes, right? Um, as far as like it influencing the games I want to make, uh, our one of our symbols at Atlas School is called Lumi, and it's a firefly, and it's a bug, that glows. I think most of us are probably familiar with the firefly, but here in the
Okay.
South, they call them lightning bugs. And um, bug has a funny connotation to it, right? There's like, well, that's an error. But I even think like some of the best Easter eggs, some of the best moments in gaming comes from they come from the sense of how to. Sorry, some of the audio was playing. This distracting.
Please continue, Zach.
Yeah, yeah. So the where was I? I completely
Yeah,
lost
so you
it.
were talking about lightning bugs in the south.
Yeah.
You said it's funny.
So
You're
lightning bugs and how it influenced my game,
right.
and how
Gotcha.
the learning of Atlas is influenced. So, teaching people is a difficult task. It's not necessarily easy. You run into these bugs, you run into these issues, but you could turn them into opportunities, something that flashes a light and shows you the way. A pretty significant experience I've been while I've been living here in Oklahoma was getting to go to a lake like towards the end of summer. It's very, very quiet little spot in a town called Stillwater. It's just a little college town. And I wasn't exactly expecting it. I was thinking, hey, maybe we'll see a few lightning bugs over
Oh.
here. But we were parking and we sat for not even 10 minutes, and it must have been thousands upon thousands of fireflies came out from the underbrush just at the turn of sunset. And it was absolutely beautiful. Uh, that experience really impacted me because it was this moment where I get to see, hey, thousands of fireflies lighting up the night sky. It was a
Oh,
really interesting
Zach,
way to
excuse me. I don't
visualize
think I
the
can
impact
hear
that I've had
you.
at Atlas, creating tons and tons of engineers who will go and make their own games, contribute to various industries, and really, hopefully, making impact and making value out there in the world. And I just hope to do the same with my games in a way that it really brings a light in people and can enable
Hmm.
them to feel like this game added to their life. I feel like there are too many gamers, and even people external to games who might look at games as a waste of their time, or might
Yeah.
regret some of that time. And I think we can really change how we play games and why we play games in a way that really is adding to your life and not taking away from it. Um, I think you can have a positive relationship with anything. So why not games? And I want
Yes.
to have my games inspire people in that sort of way.
Yeah, I love what you're saying. And I agree with you. I think people tend to view games as escapism, right?
Mm.
Like games are
Yeah,
mere
yeah.
escapism, they're just for fun. But games can also be expansive. They can help you process different things, bring you different emotions, show you different ways of doing things. They can be beneficial too.
Well, and I think you've captured something really interesting there, right? Because escapism and controlling how you feel are kind of the same thing. I mean, that's what escapism is, right? Is getting away from how you might currently feel or the situation that you're currently in to immerse yourself in these other feelings. And so when you take a look at uh, how why you're playing a game, it's not necessarily to distract yourself from the world or to put something away. You're playing it to control how you feel, and I think
Hmm.
it's a very keen insight that you can use anything that's a medium of expression like that, for positive or negative. And if you're looking at it as I'm wasting my time, I'm putting away hours into this thing that might not give me any return in life, that can be negative. But it can just as easily for a different person, or a different perspective, even for yourself,
Hmm.
be something that really adds meaning to your life. And so I think it's all about how you play the game and why you play the game, more than like games are bad themselves, right? They're just tools for us to feel certain types of ways. Like horror games make you scared, and maybe an
Exactly.
action game makes you feel really good when you can hit the buttons at the right time.
Definitely. Zach, I wanted to ask you regarding the impact that AI has on future like game developments, right? You are working with people who want to work in the tech industry, maybe they want to work in gaming as well. But AI seems kind of scary sometimes if you don't know how to
Yeah.
use it. How do you think the next generation of engineers can future proof their skills so that they can be successful in this new landscape?
Yeah, well, it's a very interesting question, Angel, because there's two sides of that coin. There's one that's the answer that's more universal, I think, and it captures kind of long-term focus of how creatives, technicals, or anyone will be integrating these tools into their work. And then there's the other side of the coin where it's like raw down dirty engineering right now. How are we using these tools and are they useful?
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I'll give you both sides here. First, universal, I think this applies for any professional, any creative. AI is a marketing term. Artificial intelligence is such a loaded term, and this comes from sci-fi, right? Like this is the idea that we'll be able to build machines that can think and be smarter than us. Right now, what we have is not AI. What we have is really powerful automation tools. And some of them are generative, where they can kind of powerfully discover things, or maybe put together possibilities that maybe other people wouldn't have seen. I mean, AI has already won art competitions, right? Like it was very, very quick to win an art competition and cause a lot of controversy. And I think that's something where we need to take a look at how are we considering these tools? Because I have in the past made the argument that like, if you're an artist and you're freaking out about AI, it's kind of like when people would freak out about being a painter and cameras being invented. Oh no, my portraits are going to go away. I don't think it's quite the same
Gotcha.
anymore. Having my hands deep into the issue for a fair amount of years now, I think it's a little more nuanced.
Mhm.
AI is automation. It's not just a tool that is uh, going to think or solve problems for you. It's not just a tool that can inherently create, it generates, right? There's no it acting on its own. So there's a lot that people conflate on top of AI. For integrating it into your workflow, it is automated results. And I don't know if you've ever seen a factory line, but what happens when one loaf of bread gets a little pushed behind? It might push behind the next one and the next one and
Exactly.
cause this
Yeah, they get
huge,
stacked. Right.
yeah, and nothing is flowing in that factory anymore if your bread gets stuck. And so I think you can automatically make bad decisions. This should come very naturally to humans, that we make bad decisions just out of thin air. But when we look at AI, we're not exactly giving it that same credence of, hey, this can just make mistakes, and it could do it automatically and a lot. And so I think that's where a lot of confusion comes in with AI. Is like, it's useful, but it's also making mistakes. And at the end of the day, being a creative, being a specialist, being someone whose meaning is or expression is really meaningful, means you can't automatically get there. If we were all automatically there, we would all be on the same page, right? We would all have that meaning, have that intention, have that ability to produce that result, and we would be it would not be of significance or value to be like, hey, I'm where everyone else is at when we're already all there, right? So you have to be on the edge of, I need to make decisions for myself. I need to have an internal filter. I think every professional could benefit from AI in a different way, especially if we are talking the big loaded blanket term that includes machine learning, computer vision,
Mhm.
even artificial generalized intelligence, right? That true AI. I think all of those factors play into, you can use these tools to make you better. But what I am very careful to tell my students is you cannot use these tools to replace your own internal filter. Um, Starting to get into the code side of it, and you'll see this in writing, it's not so bad for what it puts in to your writing, because more text can always sort of be helpful, but it's really bad for the things that it takes out from your expression. You're coming to ChatGPT with revise my book or edit this code, it might
Right.
take things out that were essential and you might not see it because hey, humans also make mistakes. So you got to remember, if you're trying to be a specialist, you're trying to be a creative, take a look at what you're making and be very, very intentional that this is the result that you wanted, because otherwise you're going to wind up somewhere down a rabbit hole and it's not going to be a lot of fun. You want to get sure that you want to be sure that things are going through your internal filter and that you're not replacing that, because otherwise you'll automatically make bad decisions. But if you have an internal filter, you can be watching the factory floor go, and as a bread gets out of place, nudge it or pull it back out so you can put it back in.
Exactly. Very, very important to have that internal filter. Yeah, Zach, I completely agree with you. I just wanted to ask you real quick before we wrap up this interview, where can people find you if they want to contact you, maybe collaborate with you, maybe be your student? Where can they contact you?
Yeah, so I got a lot of links. You can Google me for sure. I've been Googleable for quite a long time now. So it's just Zachary Kosma. You can even do ZAK Kosma. But if you want to get my links, you can do zak.today for my personal website. You can do Kosmacon.com, which is Kosmacon.com. You can go to wardraft.app, WARDRAFT uh, pretty cool website. I highly recommend that one. That one's the game that we're working on over at Cosmicon. And if you want to learn more about Atlas School, You can follow me on LinkedIn. You can go to atlasschool.com and find us that way. We are we're a really great coding school in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And if you want to learn more about code, I'm always available to be hit up. You can find me on LinkedIn if you want to message me directly.
All right, perfect, Zach. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for the interview. It was a pleasure having you on the lab. Thank you for joining us. Okay, my pleasure. Let's go back.
That was great, man. Great interview on health. First off, big shout out to Jason Alchemist for the donation. I feel like we need some like air horn or something like that when things go on. But
Some
one of the
confetti
things
as well.
Exactly, right? Party stuff everywhere. But one of the things that Zachary was talking about was how AI is automation. And we saw that this week with OpenAI releasing operators and starting to kind of build these automations as tasks. And it's going to be a very interesting future. I'm really excited to see where these things go and how they're able to build them out.
Yes, let's see how it goes. AI can be kind of scary. I feel like a lot of the news that we read make it seem like you're gonna lose your job. It's never gonna be the same. But it's a tool, right? We can master it, we can use it to our advantage.
That's what I always tell everyone I speak to is if you're not learning how to utilize this new tool, you're going to start to fall behind. You're either going to keep up. I mean, goes back to the days when like horse and buggy was replaced by car. People are saying, no, we'll always have horse.
Exactly.
Like, no, these technologies move. So you're going to do yourself a disfavor, if you're not following up on these technologies that are really picking up right now.
All right, yeah, 100%. We have to adapt, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. We're kicking it off to our next interview, who's going to be Tim Gerritsen. He's the Chief Operating Officer at Lost Boys. It is going well, Tim. Tim is hanging out with us in an RV in New Mexico. When we started this conversation, it was bright and sunny out, and now we get dark background in the background because it is officially nighttime. Tim, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm live from the desert on satellite, so hopefully I'm coming in well.
So far, so good. Let's talk a little bit about your resume, and I got a couple questions to kind of ask you. So, currently
Sure.
the COO at Lost Boys. You are at Human Head, Irrational Games. You do a lot with the Wisconsin Gaming Alliance. You had the unique experience of working on iconic titles like Rune, the original Prey, and BioShock Infinite. Over the shift in game development over the years, there's been bigger budgets at games, longer dev cycles, and evolving player expectations. You're still in the gaming world, and I'm curious to ask you, what's something in today's AAA environment that maybe these studios can learn how games were made a little while ago?
Well, I mean, that's a good question because I think over the next year you're going to see a sea change in how games are made and how they're delivered. I think big time, big budget games are getting riskier and riskier and riskier to do. You're talking massive movie level, bigger than movie level budgets. You're talking some games hitting 300 million, 500 million to make. That's a lot of money to risk. And if the game doesn't take off and hit an audience like day one and have a long tail, that's a lot of money to lose. And you're on the opposite end, you're seeing all these great indie crews and AA people who are cranking out these games at a fraction of the budget, capturing people's minds, getting people excited, capturing people's sales, and really, defining innovation in the market right now. So I think in the next year, you're going to see a lot of the big studios are going to start rethinking, like, is this the best way for us to be doing this? Are there better ways for us to be doing this? And you look at the tools landscape with AI coming on, you look at how tools have evolved since I started out. I mean, my first game was A10 Tank Killer 2, and that was like 10 guys, $1 million budget, and that was AAA back then. But we moved fast, we got cool stuff done. I remember when we did Rune, that was about 13 people and $1.3 million, I think, is what we spent on it to get it done. You can make fantastic games without blowing super movie level budgets. And I think you look at how many players are playing the various games that are out there right now, and the games that are capturing people's attention more and more often are these lesser expensive games, but something innovative, something that people are taking a risk on, something that's just not the same old thing that's been done 50 times in the past 3, 4, 5 years. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I've worked on AAA games. I love AAA games, but I just see so much cool innovation coming from these smaller teams with smaller budgets, acting scrappier, you know, focusing on the fun, working with audiences. I think that's been a big trend and going to be an even bigger trend. You don't just release your game after 5 years of silence into the market and hope to God people buy it. I think you got to engage your community early. You got to get people to be involved early and then learn from them. People say, hey, I like this, I don't like that, I want to have this in the game, you know, gets me excited. And you can put out early versions of a game and get people excited about it and take people's feedback and really develop that game with the audience being a part of that. And I think that's a trend that's going to get bigger and bigger.
We often, I mean, we talk about community a lot. I think community is one of my most exciting topics that I love to talk about, because the more people you have talking about your game, you organically grow. The more influencers you have playing your game, again, you'll have that organic growth through those players. When you're there thinking of your games and creating games, we always talk about engaging with your community as early as possible. But is that really going through your head from where you sit at, I guess, maybe a COO level? Like, at what point is the right time to start engaging with the audience?
Well, I mean, look, I'm an old school designer. That's how I got started. And for me, the game is everything. If if you're not focusing on your game, what the hell are you focusing on? And so I think at my level, that is community engagement. When do you engage? I've worked on games where we engaged early, got people's feedback early, and those are fun because you're interacting with your audience, you're learning what they like, you're learning what they don't like. I think on a business level, on that level of things, you got to look at those trends. I don't think you can afford to just focus on the numbers and focus on the finance side of it and focus on, what developers you've got in place. You got to be thinking holistically about everything. At my level, you do need to be thinking holistically about everything. You got to be thinking about, who are your best developers, but also who's the audience that I'm selling to? Because if you can't define that, you're not going to find success.
When we go back to take a look at your resume, right? Again, Rune, Prey, BioShock, those are some huge names, right? That really made an impact on people that played it, right? I mean, by being a part of the BioShock world, BioShock lore, it must be an amazing experience. Can you talk about maybe some of the best practices from working with these different studios, with different directors that you've kind of picked up on over the years? And maybe we call them pillars here every once in a while, right? Do you have any pillars that you stick with when you kind of go into that game design stage?
Well, for me, it's trust in your team. You got to have a team of people that you trust, that they're excited. You got to get them excited and they got to get you excited. And you got to be involved with that team. You can't be aloof. I think a lot of companies, the team is just some group somewhere working on the game, and they're not engaged. They don't really talk to them. They're not really a part of that. I feel like you have to be engaged with the team. They have to know what's going on. They have to understand the game they're making. They have to be talking to one another. And I think making sure that your team is intimately involved in that process, intimately communicating that process. One of the things I faced, especially on larger titles, is something I called siloing, where design comes up with a design, throws it over the fence to programming. Programming comes up with tools, they throw it over the fence to art. Art comes up with art, throws it over the fence back to programming. And then that's a horrible situation. You want to create a situation where everybody in the team is communicating. Everybody in the team is trusting one another. Everybody is being real with one another. Hey, you're not doing this the way I thought you were doing it. Is that a problem, or is that something we need to change our tool structure, our process to make it better for everybody? And if teams start to silo, that's where things start going really wrong, because then they just resent each other. Oh, the game sucks because it's engineering's fault. Oh, the game sucks because it's art's fault. Oh, the game sucks because it's design's fault. And it's like, no, guys, it's all your game. It's all of your game. No, you can't put I used to tell developers, like, you can't put a note in the box saying, well, the game was cool except for this one bit, and I'm really sorry, but nobody listened to me on the team. So, that's why the game sucks. You can't put a note like that in the box, or or when you release the game. I'm old school, so I'm thinking box, but on the digital side, you can't just send people a note like the game was really cool except for this one thing that these guys sucked at. You got to be holistic about it. You got to be real about it, and you always have to be thinking about what is the customer's appeal with this. You always have to be thinking from the gamer level. I think too many developers get up in their own head of how they perceive how the game's going to be perceived. So no, you got to be thinking about it as a gamer. How would I, as a gamer, perceive what I'm doing right now or seeing right now on screen?
I love that. I think I can safely say that all the companies I've ever worked at have had an internal communication problem where dev doesn't talk to QA or doesn't talk to product, doesn't talk to support, or doesn't talk to anyone. And it becomes, like you said, everyone's pointing fingers like, how did you release this? Did you not test it for bugs? Or, yeah, we tested it, but blah, 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 right? It's communication is key, I think, in any vertical, any field, no matter what you're doing, to understand what you're doing, how you can communicate it. And I love that you said that, because I don't think a studio can survive without some sort of solid communication. Is it going to be perfect? No, it's never perfect. Trust me. But you can have ways to communicate with each other and stay in touch. And I think that's really important.
Yeah. It gets easier with a smaller team. With larger teams, like on BioShock Infinite, I would say half my job was making sure people just understood what changes were going on and what, because on a bigger game, the challenge is even bigger because you've got so many people working on a project, and it's hard to lose vision. Like, oh yeah, we had things called zombie memes where it was like an idea that was early in the game that was carved out, but people kept thinking that was the current design and rolling with it. And it's like, no, that died like 3 months ago, and trying to kill those zombie memes because they would just keep coming back. And making sure that your team understands what the current vision for the game is and what their impact is on it. Because no matter who you are on a team, no matter how small you think your role is, you have a huge impact on what's coming out at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's well said. And I want to jump to one of the questions that Jason asked in chat, because I think it's great and it's effective. We work with a lot of indies. We talk with a lot of indies, right? Are there any strategies you've learned over time on how you can help scale a game? And specifically, how can an indie take that concept and make it work for them?
Well, I think indies are kind of where that's at right now, because the best thing I can say is you have a small team early on in the project working tightly together to find the fun in the game. So you're working on a prototype level, but you don't scale. And the games I've seen scale too early. Like, we need 500 assets. So we either got to go find co-dev studios, or we got to hire enough people to make all these assets, or we got to buy all these assets. And it's like, no, until you know what your core loop is, until you know exactly what this game is going to be, until you can demonstrate and play it and see, okay, this is my game loop. This is how it plays. This is how it's going to be fun. It's demonstrably fun. You should not scale. And I think way too many teams scale way too early, get caught in trouble. Once you have that loop, then it's just a production exercise. It's like, okay, we got our core loop. We understand the gameplay. We understand how it's coming together. But now I need 5,000 audio assets. I need 10,000 illustrational assets. I need all these models. I need all these animations. Like, it's a lot easier to scale when you know what the roadmap looks like. And if you scale too early, you just have people sitting around and getting in each other's way. And I think too many teams, that becomes a real problem, because they think someone had on a schedule on April 1st, we go full production, so everybody better be ready to start making assets. And then you get to April 1st, and it's like, wait a minute, the game isn't even ready yet. The game isn't there yet. It's not fun yet. But hey, somebody put on a roadmap. We got to hire at this date. So suddenly you're already off. You're already hiring too many people. They're sitting around. Nobody knows what's going on, and the game isn't getting any better. And I think a key team knows that. Do not do that. Do not go into that production mode until you know, okay, yep, this is what the game is defined as, and here's how we're moving forward.
Yeah, I love that. It's a mantra I heard a while ago, and I love to stick to it, is finding the fun, find the fun, right? Play test the game until you find out what that core loop is that's fun, and don't try and throw more stuff at it, because then you're going to cause more problems. There's so many indie games that I started playing, and then they get some sort of feature creep where they put, hey, let's put this merge element and this element and this element and this element into this game. I'm just like, this isn't the same game that we started playing, and you're now doing 57,000 things, and I can't keep up with it. It's frustrating.
Well, there's this old thing where it's like, what have I played lately? And then, oh, I played this game over the weekend. It had this cool feature. We got to add that. And then the next weekend, oh, I played this cool game. It's got this cool feature. Let's add that. And pretty soon you've got like 500 features, and you're way away from what your original core vision was.
I got 2 more quick questions for you here.
Sure.
You've seen the gaming industry evolve through multiple generations of gaming, and we're now in the next generation that's coming up, and we've heard terms like metaverse, VR, AR, AI now in here. What excites you the most about where we are today, or is there a particular trend or technology that gets you really excited?
I don't know about technology. I think trend-wise, I think that kind of circle is coming back towards smaller teams being more capable. The tools are allowing smaller groups, even individuals, to put out amazing, cool, fun experiences and capturing people's imaginations. And I think that's a trend that I'm really excited about, because I can get 7, 8 people together, get them excited about a vision, we can start cranking on it and get something going, as opposed to on a $400 million game or a $200 million game or whatever on a AAA basis. You've got so many green light approvals and so many people you have to convince that this is going to be a good idea, and all of them want to put in their own input. Well, you need multiplayer. Well, it's a single player focused idea. Add multiplayer. Thankfully, that's dying or has died out mostly, or you're focusing on a multiplayer game and they're like, oh, add a campaign because that's what our marketing says. And I love marketing, but marketing is always looking at what's hot now and what's been hot, and looking a year in the future or 18 months in the future. It's hard to know what trends are. Games come out of nowhere and capture the zeitgeist, and everybody gets excited, and you got to market what you have right now. And I feel like, with a bigger game, you got so many people you got to get sign off from. You got so many gatekeepers who are like, you got to add a little bit of this. It's too many chefs in the kitchen. And then you end up with a mess.
Well said. I agree with that sentiment. I think these smaller studios that can kind of follow their hearts, build their passion project, I think they're the ones that are going to be driving the industry. I think the Game Awards this year showed us games like Balatro, right? Just sole developer building out their passion project. They found the fun, they stuck with it, they didn't throw too many features in there. I think that is the path we're going down. I think AAA will find a way to kind of fit in there too.
Well, let me be clear. I mean, you're still going to have failure at that level, but you're not going to lose $150 million. You're not going to, if you bet smaller and it pays off, you have a great return on your investment. But if you bet smaller and you fail, you move on to the next thing.
Awesome. Tim, this has been extremely insightful, and I really loved our conversation. It's getting even darker there, so I'm not going to keep you any longer. But before you go, let us know where we can find you, where we can find Lost Boys, and et cetera.
Sure. Well, Lost Boys is at lostboysinteractive.com. You can check us out there. I'm kind of a hard to reach guy. I'm a private guy, but you can find me on LinkedIn. Send me a LinkedIn request. I'm happy to, get together with folks. I love encouraging. For me, I loved hearing Zach's talk earlier. It's for me, the coolest thing is seeing young people get into the industry, get excited, and do cool stuff. So if you're a young person in the industry and you're just breaking your way in and want to talk, reach out. I'm more than happy to start up a conversation with you.
Thank you, Tim. Stay safe out there, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Hell, welcome back.
Dude,
how are you?
Thank you, man. That was an amazing conversation. I love everything that Tim said. And you don't really need a huge budget or a ginormous team to make a great game. We have seen games like Balatro, Lethal Company, many games that, they don't have a lot of people, but they make awesome things. And I agree with that. I agree with the sentiment. How was it for you?
Have a strong vision and stick to that vision. Know what gets you excited, right? I've always believed that if you build a game that you love, others will love it. Don't build a game for others, build a game for yourself, and that will bring people to play a game.
Exactly. That's 100%. I think most successful games have that vision. And I think there's a lot of big franchises now that are kind of like losing, uh, how do you say, they're losing touch with like their origin point. Like you mentioned Call of Duty, right? Don't get me
Mhm.
wrong, I love Call of Duty,
Don't
but
badmouth
man, they
it.
have like unicorn skins and like,
Love
like
it.
what's going on?
It's
Is this
wild, man.
Fortnite?
The Wild West. I love it. No,
Uh,
there's room for both, but I think AAA is going to take. I mean, spending's already kind of a bit out of hand and less available these days, right? For those looking for investors, right? It's tougher these days, but you're gonna have to find what clicks better with your audience. And again, if you build games that they want to come back to, when you build that fun, monetization will follow the fun. Don't build a game thinking I'm going to make $1 million off of it. Build a game that you're going to want to pick up and play day after day after day. And when other people do that, then they will spend money in the game.
exactly, 100%. Amazing interview, Greg.
Thank you. I think now we're going to pass it over to Cassandra. Cassandra, how are
Yes.
you doing this lovely evening? How's Chicago?
Hi there, I'm doing great. It's Cassandra here. Well, today, same, I'm going to bring you guys some like interesting events happening globally and locally. But before we start, I want to wish anybody who celebrates a Chinese New Year a great start of Year of Snake. Yeah, I'm from China. We did hot pot, we watched Spring Festival Gala, and it's Year of Snake. It's all about um, it's all about that shed off the bad energy. All right, so now we're gonna cover about the global convention that happens this week and next week. So first of all, we have a Arctic Game Dev 2025 happening this week. The event had been kicked off yesterday and it's gonna go hold through this Thursday and in Sweden. So this event is focusing on to bringing game studios, independent developers with investor and publishers. Like I know personally as an independent developer, it's always like finding fundings and then like connect with publishers one of the hardest topic and one of the important topic. So this event really help to bring people together, connect people together, and then the investor and publisher can see what are some cool project people are work at, and for the game studio to learn how to pitch to publisher, how to find investor. So if you're in the area, definitely this is a great event. Well, next week we have a 2-day event in Barcelona, Spain, Games Forum 2025, mobile game focused event. So people, industry expert is going to gather together to discuss the future about the mobile gaming, the growth, the strategy, and monetization of it. So if you are a mobile gaming like focused, definitely check it out. And also in Asia next week, we have a Game Dev Summit happened in Baraka Island, Philippines. It's a event all the audiences. We have like game developers, artists, publishers, like anyone that connect and then innovate and shape the future of the gaming industry. All right, so the week after that, in February, there's one event we're all gonna watch, which is the Dice Summit. This year is gonna hold in the States, Las Vegas area resort and casino. So as you know, like this is an event for all the leaders in the industry, in the interactive entertainment industry, to discuss the trend and the innovation creative process. So like definitely watch those conversations because those are gonna shape out the future of the gaming. Yeah. Also, as an average gamer and as a fans, um, Dice Summit Award is also something I'm watching. Like Greg mentioned earlier, like I already cast my vote in my heart. The game of year in my heart is a by small independent developer Bilateral. It's my recent gaming addiction. I was literally playing right before the show. Like just like what we just discussed in this show, like we always talk about like great game can be made by any budget. So it's really great to see like the fun is the core and then how tight, like as long as you have a really tight, solid and fun gameplay, like people's gonna see it and people are gonna appreciate it. So right. All right, so and then the lab is gonna cover more information about Dice Submit. So just stay tuned. We're gonna talk about that more. All right. So next for local events, we have a Louisiana RetroCon Winter 2025 going on in Gonzales, Louisiana. I look at the event, it's lots of fun. Like I wish I lived nearby so I can go. Like it have like cosplay contests, it have like tournament like Super Smash Bros tournament, it have Sonic themed karaoke. I'd be totally up for it. And then also something like a music performance, they have everything. So this is happening this weekend at the Gonzales, Louisiana. Definitely check it out if you're local. One last thing I want to cover is this online community and marketplace. If you haven't heard of it, I think most of people heard of it, HIO. It has great games by independent developer upload there. And also one thing I want to focus on is the game jam section on the HIO. If you go on their website and going under Game Jam tab, you will see a huge calendar with all the Game Jam that's going on. So far, HIO has already hosted 400K Game Jam, and then it's all different theme, all different topic, and then you can just like jump in one that you find interested, and then pick each other's brain and create something great together. So, all right, so that's it for this week. Definitely stay tuned and keep gaming.
Cassandra, that was awesome. Thank you for the update. I'm glad you love Balatro. We're also hearing from Kingmaker in chat, who also loves Balatro, joined the club. And as Cassandra mentioned, check out itch.io. They got a lot of cool stuff up there. Indies can put some stuff up there. And we were just talking about game jams last week. What are the odds? They're having a game jam on their stuff as well. Have you been to Itch on Hell? Have you done that stuff before? Take that as a no or a maybe. Have you been to Itch before? Oh, you are quiet. I don't know if we could hear you on Hell. Is it me? All right. Well, his mic is muted. So while we're figuring that out, our next alchemist is
Oh,
going.
can you hear me
Yeah,
now?
there we go. What's up, man? Welcome
Oh,
back.
gotcha, dude. I was muted for some reason.
Yeah, you got to mute. I don't know. Maybe
Okay, no
we can
worries.
back just control Puppet Master and mute and stuff. You know.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, man, it's all good. But I have heard of it. I've definitely heard of it. But what I'm more interested in is the poll that we had.
Which are we talking about the game? What game are you most looking to in February? Let's see. Are we
Exactly.
able
So
to
yeah,
pull up
we
those
asked you guys a
results here?
question. Yes, we asked you guys a question. Or like a dragon. Interesting.
I was gonna go Vad, but I'm excited about Civ. I've never been a turn-based strategy guy, but I'm a real-time strategy. I thought maybe at my older age I can change it to turn-based and be a little calmer.
Hopefully, hopefully. What about Monster Hunter? Does it look appealing to you?
I don't know. I'll download it. I will play it. I'll give you that much. I'm not gonna give you any more than that, but I will play it and I will let you know.
Hey man, you gotta let me know. I've heard the game is wild. So let's see how it goes.
All right, so we're coming up here in the hour, but we got more show for you. So we're gonna go to our final alchemist, Rick, who's gonna talk to us a little bit about esports. Rick, man, how are you doing?
What's up, guys? And hell, I love the unicorn skin in Call of Duty. It's one of my favorites. The gun animation is deadly. But welcome to Rick's 5-minute lab drop. I'm Rick, and today I got some big news about the Olympic Esports 2025. It's been postponed, but yeah, we're going to talk about it and how this affects not only esports as a whole, but also indie game developers and publishers. So, if any of you guys are indie devs, I would like to hear what you guys got to say about this. So, here's the scoop: the Olympic esports was postponed for 2026 or maybe even later for 2027. The word on the street is most likely 2027, but that gives indie game developers more time to get in this chance to get into this tournament and see how they can get in. So why the delay? A few reasons. The IOC and partnerships haven't fully locked down any game titles or tournament venues or even any dates. There's also a lack of clarity around how athletes will qualify. And of course, the game publishers voiced concern about the timeline was just too tight. The IOC hasn't made any official announcements yet, but this hasn't definitely sparked a lot of conversations within the gaming community. So let me ask you guys, how will it impact the esports and indie games? So if you indie game devs are in the chat, please let me know and tell me if this even affects you at all. So I would like to hear their reply on that, guys. So please, I have a poll out there, and make sure you guys vote on that poll. All right, let's get back to it. So, what does this even mean for the future of esports? Well, the esports grown from a niche hobby to a global phenomenon. We've seen games like Fortnite, League of Legends, Rocket League, and Call of Duty become huge in competition gaming. But indie devs have often been left on the sidelines of major esports events, largely because of the smaller scale or limited resources, which delay which the delay of the Olympics esports games might be helpful for these guys. This could actually open the doors for indie games and developers, considering the IOC is going to need more time, excuse me, guys, more time to finalize the lineup in games. And this could give smaller titles a chance to polish their game and a time to shine. So think about it. That might think about it. Uh, Games like that might not have the might not have made the cut for 2025, but now they might have the chance to move in the spotlight and even make the event in 2026 or 2027. So, guys, let's hear about it. I want to know if this even affects you indie devs, guys, or indie game publishers. So, what can the indie developers do to take advantage of this delay? If you guys have any answers, please throw them in the comments. I would like to hear them, and I'd like to see what you guys have to say. The key is to stay maybe adaptable and ready as the IOC and the IESF focus on getting the game titles finalized, securing proper funding, and setting up qualification paths. Indie developers should be keeping an eye on these developments with more time to get their games polished, and smaller developers could have more time and much better shot at making the roster for 2026. So this delay could really help you little indie developers, and we can get it started and help you guys shine. So this more time gives you guys more time to polish up your games and think about registering your game to be in this tournament. So, all right. So what else we got, guys? We got news for the. Or sorry, guys. We got the. Hold on, guys. Let me see what I got for you guys. I got the rat. Let's cut it, guys. I can't.
All right. Angel, do you think the Olympic esports committee saw what happened with breakdancing at the Olympics and was like, ooh, maybe we want to hold off on this? Or now is that too
Dude,
soon?
that was such an L, dude. But
Sorry, you can't
honestly,
win them all.
you can win them all, right? But honestly, I don't see a good argument on why not, like, why not have indie games at the Olympics, right?
I agree with you, but I imagine there's a lot of politics that go on behind the scene and people trying to keep stuff out. That's not even a thing I'd want to even touch because it's probably ugly behind the scenes.
Yes, I agree with you. But Greg, before we move on, remember how Rick had like the black background?
Uh-huh.
Have you ever played the Batman Arkham games?
No, one of my really good friends has been convincing me for the longest time to play it. I played Suicide Squad and I liked it, but I think I was one of like 7 people that liked it.
Bro. Okay, anyways, but in the Arkham games, when you lose the game, right? To like let's say you're fighting a boss and you lose the game, the the game over screen is basically like Rick's screen. It's a black screen, and then the character comes up to you, they say something, and then they leave. So it just reminded me of that. But
There you go. Well, sorry, Rick. He thinks you're dead in the Arkham games, but we know you're not. I think we are getting ready to spin the wheel here. You want to introduce our lucky listener that gets to spin it today, Angel, or do you not have the chat up?
I do have the chat. Where can I see who got it?
It's in the chat in the video ninja.
Let me see real quick. Oh, that's is it Straw Hat Angel? Because that's me.
Oh well, you get to spin the wheel. No,
Like, do I get to spin the wheel? No, someone else should spin the wheel. Come on, guys. It should be someone else.
all right. If you're in the chat and you're not on this broadcast and you want to spin the wheel, type your favorite game in the chat right now, and you will get a chance to spin the wheel. You can't get everything right that first time, right, Angel? You still got to run into some issues here and there.
I mean, look, honestly, dude, we're starting. We're doing our best. It is what it is, right? We're here.
All right. We'll go to Alchemist Jason. He was interactive today in chat. He tipped. Not that ever is going to make a difference, but he's here. So we're going to bring the wheel up. They can't hear us when they spin the wheel, but I need you, Jason, in the chat to type "spin the wheel." All right. To can be completely honest with you on hell, I couldn't read that. What did we get?
I mean, I know it's the golden one, right? That's supposed to be like super rare, but what
Look at
exactly
that.
did
Lucky first
Jason win?
episode, second episode, first wheel. He won a free item from the store. Can we drop the store link in chat so he can kind of go in there, pick what he wants? And any final words for our episode here today on hell?
Look, Greg, what you said is true. We're just starting. We're doing our best. There's a little bit of some hiccups along the way, but I think overall we did pretty good. We had amazing guests, and the participation on the chat was amazing. So, what else can you ask for, right?
I agree. Tim, Zachary, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your knowledge and wisdom from your time in the trenches of making games. I think it's important to share that with all the current gen and younger gens. Sandra, Rick, Angel, thank you so much for being a part of this. But the biggest thank I think goes to again our community, man. Like we don't do this for us, although maybe we do. But we love listening to you. We love hearing the feedback that you have. We are a show because you're a listener, and we want games to be here forever, right? I have kids now. I want them to keep playing games, and I want their kids to play games, and the more gamers, the better. So keep on letting us know what you want to listen to. We have a great episode coming up next week. You'll see more about it on LinkedIn in the next couple of weeks. And Angel, I'll talk to you later, man. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Greg, and thank you guys for coming. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much, and see you next episode at the lab.